The alien threat, the vast expanse of space, had always held secrets, but none quite as alarming as the one uncovered by the Terran Deep Space Monitoring Station Gamma 9. It was a routine day for Dr. Ilara Chen, the station's lead xenolinguist, when the quantum comm array lit up with an intercepted transmission that would change the course of human history. "Captain Reynolds, I think you need to see this," Ilara called out, her voice trembling slightly as her eyes scanned the alien text scrolling across her holographic display. Captain Zara Reynolds, a veteran of the Terran Space Force with numerous first contact missions under her belt, strode across the control room. Her cybernetic eye whirred softly as it focused on the strange symbols. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Ilara's fingers danced across the haptic interface, bringing up multiple screens of data. "It's a transmission between two alien vessels, sir. The encryption was tough, but our quantum eye cracked it. The language is, well, it's unlike anything we've encountered before." Reynolds leaned in, her augmented vision zooming in on the details. "Can you translate it?" With a nod, Ilara tapped a few more commands. The alien script morphed into English, revealing a chilling message. "The simulations are complete. The apes of Sol 3 will fall. Prepare the Armada." A heavy silence fell over the control room. Reynolds straightened, her face a mask of determination. "How certain are we about this translation, Doctor?" 95.7% accuracy, Captain. The AI is confident." Reynolds turned to her communications officer. "Send an emergency burst transmission to Terran High Command. Priority Alpha. We may have a potential first strike situation." As the crew scrambled to action, Reynolds couldn't help but wonder what humanity had done to warrant such hostility from an unknown alien race. The irony wasn't lost on her. Humanity had always feared making first contact with a hostile alien species, and now it seemed those fears were about to become reality. Thousands of light years away on the gleaming capital world of the Jeteran Imperium, High Commander Vexthor stood before the Grand Council, his tentacles writhing with excitement. The holographic display before them showed the unsuspecting blue marble that was Earth. "Esteemed members of the Council," Vexthor's voice reverberated through the chamber, "our reconnaissance is complete. The humans of Earth remain unaware of our existence, let alone our intentions. Their technology is primitive compared to ours, their defenses laughable. The time to strike is now, before they can further pollute the galaxy with their presence." One of the council members, an elder with translucent skin, raised a tentacle. "High Commander, what evidence do we have that these humans pose a threat to us? They have not yet ventured far beyond their own star system." Vexthor's eye stalks twitched with irritation. "Counselor, need I remind you of the prophecy of Jatara? It clearly states that a young species from a blue world will rise to challenge our dominion. We cannot afford to wait until they become a real threat. We must strike now while we have the advantage." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the council chamber. The prophecy of Jatara had guided their civilization for millennia, and none dared to question its wisdom. "Very well," the head counselor declared, her voice carrying the weight of authority. "You have the council's blessing, High Commander. Prepare your forces. The humans will never know what hit them." As Vexthor left the chamber, his mind raced with plans of conquest. Little did he know that his carefully laid plans were about to encounter the unpredictable force of human ingenuity and determination. Back on Earth, the emergency meeting of the Terran Defense Council was in full swing. Representatives from every major nation and spacefaring corporation crowded into the secure bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Admiral Helena Graves, the imposing head of the Terran Space Force, stood at the center of the room, her holographic display showing the intercepted alien transmission. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face an unprecedented threat. An alien race, technologically superior and apparently hostile, is preparing to launch an attack on Earth. We don't know their exact capabilities or when they'll strike, but we must assume the worst and prepare accordingly." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, fear and disbelief palpable in the air. It was President Adama of the United Earth Government who finally brought order to the chaos. Enough. This is not the time for panic. Admiral Graves, what are our options? Graves nodded, her steely gaze sweeping the room. We have 3 primary courses of action. First, we can attempt to establish communication and pursue diplomatic channels. Second, we can focus on bolstering our defenses and preparing for invasion. Third, we can consider a preemptive strike if we can locate their fleet. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the lead scientist of the Quantum Propulsion Project, cleared her throat. With all due respect, Admiral, a preemptive strike is out of the question. Our fastest ships would take years to reach any potential alien staging area. And that's assuming we could even find it. Dr. Tanaka is right, chimed in General Ortiz of the North American Union. Our best bet is to fortify Earth and our lunar bases. We need to accelerate the development of our orbital defense platforms and energy shield technology. President Adama raised a hand, silencing the room. We will pursue all viable options. Admiral Graves, I want our entire fleet on high alert. Dr. Tanaka, your team has just been given unlimited resources. I want faster-than-light communication and travel capabilities yesterday. As for diplomacy, he turned to the Secretary of Extraterrestrial Affairs. Madam Secretary, prepare a first contact package. If these aliens want to talk before they shoot, I want us ready. As the meeting adjourned and the world's leaders filed out to set the planet's defenses in motion, Dr. Ilara Chen sat in a corner, poring over the alien transmission. Something about the language, the syntax, nagged at her. There was a pattern here, something familiar yet alien. If she could just crack it, maybe they could gain some insight into their mysterious enemy. Little did Ilara know that her work would soon become the key to humanity's survival. As Earth prepared for war, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see if humanity would rise to meet this cosmic challenge or fall into the dustbin of galactic history. In the coming days, humanity would be tested like never before, but in the face of extinction, the human spirit would prove to be the most powerful force in the universe. The aliens were about to learn why you don't mess with the tenacious apes of Sol 3. First contact and diplomacy. The next few weeks saw Earth transform into a hive of frenzied activity. Military bases buzzed with personnel running drills, while scientific institutions worked around the clock to push the boundaries of human technology. In orbit, the skeletal frames of new defense platforms began to take shape, a testament to humanity's determination to survive. Dr. Ilara Chen hadn't left the Terran Deep Space Monitoring Station Gamma 9 since the initial discovery. Her dedication was paying off. As she pored over the alien transmissions, patterns began to emerge, hinting at a deeper meaning behind the seemingly hostile intent. Captain Reynolds, Ilara called out, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. I think I found something. Reynolds, who had been coordinating with Earth's rapidly assembling defense fleet, turned to the xenolinguist. What is it, Doctor? Ilara brought up a holographic display of the alien language. Look at these recurring patterns. They're not just talking about an attack. There are references to some kind of prophecy, something about a blue world rising to challenge them. Reynolds frowned. A prophecy? Are you saying they're attacking us because of some ancient alien superstition? It's more than that, Ilara explained. The language, the structure. It's almost like they're trying to fulfill a predetermined script. It's as if they feel compelled to attack us, rather than acting out of pure aggression. As they discussed the implications of this discovery, alarms blared throughout the station. Reynolds rushed to the main console. Report. Massive energy signature detected at the edge of the solar system. Captain, the sensor officer announced. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. A huge holographic display materialized in the center of the control room, showing a swarm of alien ships emerging from what appeared to be a spatial rift. The vessels were biomechanical in nature, resembling giant, iridescent squids gliding through the void of space. Alert Earth, Reynolds ordered. The Jeteran fleet has arrived. On Earth, President Adama stood in the Global Defense Command Center, watching as the alien armada approached. What's their ETA? Admiral Graves consulted her tactical display. At their current speed, they'll reach lunar orbit in approximately 6 hours, Mr. President. Adama nodded grimly. Then it's time to see if they're willing to talk. Initiate first contact protocols. Across the solar system, humanity held its breath as the first transmission was sent to the approaching alien fleet. The message, carefully crafted by Earth's best linguists and diplomats, was a mix of mathematical equations, visual representations of peace, and an invitation to dialogue. Hours passed with no response. The alien fleet continued its inexorable approach, their strange bioships defying all attempts at scanning or analysis. Just as hope for a peaceful resolution began to fade, a response came. The alien transmission flickered to life on screens across Earth and its colonies. The being that appeared was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. It had multiple eye stalks, writhing tentacles, and skin that seemed to shimmer with bioluminescence. Greetings, creatures of the blue world. The alien spoke, its words translated by the hastily assembled Sinolinguistic eye. I am High Commander Vexthor of the Jeteran Imperium. We have come to fulfill the prophecy of Jetera and claim your world as our own. President Adama stepped forward, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. High Commander Vexthor, I am President Adama of the United Earth Government. We have no quarrel with your people. Surely we can find a peaceful resolution that doesn't involve the destruction of either of our species. Vexthor's tentacles writhed in what might have been amusement or contempt. Peace. The prophecy speaks of conflict, of the rising apes challenging our dominion. It must be fulfilled. But why? Adama pressed. Why must we fight simply because an ancient prediction says we should? For a moment, Vexthor seemed taken aback. It is the way things must be. The prophecy has guided our civilization for millennia. To question it would be to question the very foundations of our society. As the dialogue continued, Dr. Ilara Chen worked feverishly to analyze every nuance of the alien language and behavior. She noticed something peculiar, subtle inconsistencies in Vexthor's speech patterns when discussing the prophecy. They're conflicted, she murmured to herself. Part of them knows this is wrong, but they're bound by their beliefs. Meanwhile, the negotiations began to break down. Vexthor, pushed by his own doubts and the expectations of his people, became increasingly aggressive. Enough of this pointless discourse, he bellowed. Prepare yourselves, humans. The cleansing begins now. The transmission cut off abruptly. Across Earth's defense grid, sensors blared as the Jeteran fleet began to power up their weapons. Admiral Graves turned to President Adama, her face grim. Your orders, sir. Adama closed his eyes for a brief moment, the weight of humanity's fate heavy on his shoulders. When he opened them again, they burned with determination. Defend Earth at all costs. But remember, people, we're not just fighting for our survival. We're fighting to show these aliens that there's another way, that prophecies and predetermined fates don't define who we are or what we can become. As the orders went out and Earth's defenses sprang to life, Dr. Ilara Chen made a fateful decision. If the key to peace lay in understanding the Jeteran's language and culture, then she would dedicate every waking moment to cracking their code. The first shots of the war lit up the space around Earth's moon, a dazzling and terrifying display of advanced weaponry. Humanity's hastily assembled defenses held. For now. But as the battle raged, both sides knew that this was only the beginning. In the chaos of the first engagement, no one noticed a small, stealth human vessel slipping away from Earth. Aboard, Dr. Chen and a hand-picked team of linguists and anthropologists embarked on a daring mission. Their goal, to infiltrate Jeteran space and find the truth behind the prophecy that had brought two civilizations to the brink of annihilation. As Earth fought for its survival, The fate of both species now rested in the hands of those who sought understanding amidst the flames of war. The battle for humanity's future had begun, and with it, a race to unravel the mysteries of an alien culture before it was too late. The battle begins. The void of space erupted into a dazzling display of destruction as the J-Terran fleet engaged Earth's hastily assembled defenses. Beams of coherent light sliced through the darkness, while swarms of missiles left fiery trails in their wake. The battle for humanity's survival had begun in earnest. Admiral Helena Graves stood aboard the bridge of the TSS Indomitable, Earth's most advanced battleship. Her cybernetically enhanced eyes darted between tactical displays, assessing the unfolding chaos with inhuman speed. "Status report," she barked, her voice carrying over the din of battle stations. Her XO, Commander Raji Singh, responded without taking his eyes off his console. "The lunar defense grid is holding, Admiral. J-Terran forces seem to be probing for weaknesses rather than committing to a full assault." Graves nodded grimly. "They're testing us, trying to gauge our capabilities." She tapped a series of commands into her neural interface. "All ships, execute maneuver Theta 9. Let's show these squids what happens when you corner a bunch of primitive apes." Across the battlefield, Earth's fleet moved in perfect synchronization. Ships that had seemed isolated and vulnerable suddenly converged, their overlapping energy shields creating an impenetrable barrier. The J-Terran attack squadrons, caught off guard by the sudden shift in tactics, found themselves trapped in a deadly crossfire. High Commander Vexthor watched from his command ship as the human fleet executed their surprising maneuver. His tentacles writhed in agitation. "Impossible," he muttered. "Their level of coordination, it exceeds our projections." His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Zalver, approached cautiously. "High Commander, our forward squadrons are taking heavy losses. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach." Vexthor's eye stalks swiveled to fix Zalver with a piercing gaze. "The prophecy must be fulfilled, Sub-Commander. Intensify the assault. Bring the World Breaker online." As the order was relayed, a massive ship at the heart of the J-Terran fleet began to power up. Its hull pulsed with an otherworldly energy, distorting the very fabric of space around it. Back on Earth, in the underground bunker of the Global Defense Command, President Adama received the urgent report. "Mr. President," the holographic image of Admiral Graves flickered to life. "The J-Terran are deploying some kind of superweapon. Our sensors can't get a clear reading, but the energy output is astronomical." Adama's face hardened. "What are our options, Admiral?" "We're throwing everything we have at it, sir, but our weapons barely scratch its shields. Dr. Tanaka thinks she might have a solution, but it's risky." The president nodded. "Patch her through." Dr. Yuki Tanaka's image appeared beside the admiral's. Despite the chaos, her eyes shone with the fire of scientific breakthrough. "Mr. President, we've been working on a prototype quantum disruptor. In theory, it could destabilize the energy field of the J-Terran superweapon." But what, Doctor?" Tanaka hesitated. "The delivery system is untested. We'd need to get it close, dangerously close, to the target. It would be a one-way trip for whoever volunteers." A heavy silence fell over the command center. Adama closed his eyes, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. "Do we have any other choice?" "No, sir," Admiral Graves replied solemnly. "If that weapon fires, we lose Earth." Adama nodded. "Then we do what we must. Put out the call for volunteers." As the orders went out, a fierce battle raged across the solar system. Earth's colonies on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, thought to be safe from the initial assault, found themselves under attack by J-Terran splinter fleets. The conflict had expanded beyond just Earth. It was a fight for the entire solar system. On Mars, Colonial Governor Erica Ortiz rallied the local militia and civilian volunteers. "We may not have the fancy ships or weapons of Earth," she shouted over the sound of distant explosions, "but we have something the J-Terran will never understand. The human spirit. We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day. The roar of the crowd was deafening, a testament to humanity's indomitable will to survive. Back in space, a small, sleek ship detached from the TSS Indomitable. At its helm sat Lieutenant Commander Axel Donovan, a test pilot who had volunteered for what was almost certainly a suicide mission. "Quantum Disruptor is armed and ready," Donovan reported, his voice steady despite the enormity of his task. "Beginning approach run." As Donovan's ship streaked towards the massive Jeteran world breaker, the rest of Earth's fleet engaged in a desperate battle to clear his path. Ships on both sides exploded in silent bursts of fire and debris, the lives of their crews snuffed out in an instant. High Commander Vexthor watched the approaching human ship with growing unease. "What are they planning?" he muttered. "All batteries, focus fire on that vessel. Do not let it reach us." Beams of energy lanced out from the world breaker, narrowly missing Donovan's ship as he weaved through the barrage with inhuman skill. Almost there, he gritted through clenched teeth, his hands dancing across the controls. In that moment, as Donovan's ship closed in on its target, the fabric of space itself seemed to ripple. A spatial rift, similar to the one the Jeteran had used to enter the solar system, burst into existence directly in the path of the world breaker. From the rift emerged a ship of unmistakably human design, but far more advanced than anything in Earth's current arsenal. Its hull bore the scars of countless battles, and emblazoned on its side was a name that sent shockwaves through both fleets. TSS Toronos. Admiral Graves gasped as the ship's IFF signature flashed across her display. "Impossible. That's Dr. Chen's mission, but they've only been gone for days." Before anyone could react, a transmission cut through all channels. Dr. Ilara Chen's face appeared on screens throughout both fleets, her expression a mix of determination and hope. "This is Dr. Ilara Chen of the Earth ship Cronus. To all forces, stand down immediately. We bring knowledge that will end this war before it destroys us all." As both human and Jeteran forces reeled from this unexpected development, the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The truth behind the prophecy of Jetera was about to be revealed, and with it, the key to either eternal conflict or lasting peace, human ingenuity unleashed. The sudden appearance of the TSS Cronus had brought the raging battle to a stunned standstill. Both human and Jeteran forces held their fire, all eyes fixed on the scared but futuristic vessel that had emerged from the spatial rift. Aboard the TSS Indomitable, Admiral Graves struggled to process what she was seeing. "Dr. Chen," she addressed the holographic image before her. "Explain yourself. How is this possible?" Ilara Chen's face showed the weariness of someone who had lived through years of conflict, despite having left Earth mere days ago. "Admiral, what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I assure you, it's the truth. We've been gone for 5 years." Gasps echoed through the bridge. Chen continued, "The mission to infiltrate Jeteran space led us to discover technology beyond our wildest dreams. We've learned the truth about the prophecy of Jetera, and we've brought back the key to ending this war." Before Graves could respond, another transmission cut in. High Commander Vexthor's alien visage appeared alongside Chen's. "What trickery is this?" he demanded, his tentacles writhing in agitation. "How dare you claim knowledge of our sacred prophecy?" "It's no trick, High Commander," Chen replied calmly. "We've spent years studying your history, your culture. The prophecy isn't what you think it is." President Adama's voice joined the conversation from Earth. "Dr. Chen, we're listening. What have you discovered?" Chen took a deep breath. "The prophecy of Jetera isn't a prediction of conflict. It's a warning against it. Our linguists deciphered ancient Jeteran texts that predate the current interpretation. The rising apes weren't meant to be conquered. They were meant to be embraced." Vexthor's eye stalks quivered in disbelief. "Impossible. Our entire civilization is built on the prophecy's promise of dominion. A misinterpretation, Chen explained, passed down through generations. The original text speaks of a young species that would challenge your dominion, yes, but through innovation and fresh perspectives, not war. It was meant to encourage the Jateran to seek out new civilizations, to grow and evolve through peaceful exchange. As Chen's words sank in, a tense silence fell over both fleets. It was broken by an unexpected voice. Lieutenant Commander Axel Donovan, still on his suicide run towards the Worldbreaker. "That's fascinating and all," Donovan cut in, his voice strained. "But I'm about 10 seconds from impact. Should I still blow myself up, or—" "Stand down, Donovan," Graves ordered quickly. "All forces, hold your positions." President Adama addressed the Jateran leader. "High Commander Vexthor, in light of this revelation, I propose an immediate ceasefire. Let us meet and discuss this new information." Vexthor was silent for a long moment, his alien features unreadable. Finally, he spoke. "Agreed. All Jateran forces, stand down." As the orders spread through both fleets, an almost palpable wave of relief washed over the battlefield. Ships that moments ago had been locked in mortal combat now drifted peacefully side by side. Hours later, aboard the neutral ground of the International Space Station, leaders from both species convened. Dr. Chen and her team presented their findings, including holographic displays of the original Jateran texts and the advanced technology they had brought back. "This," Chen said, activating a small device, "is a quantum harmonizer. It's the key to unlocking faster-than-light travel and communication. But more importantly, it's proof of what our species can achieve together." She went on to explain how her team, working alongside open-minded Jateran scientists in the future, had developed technologies that neither species could have created alone. The quantum harmonizer was just the beginning. They had plans for clean energy solutions, advanced medical techniques, and even the beginnings of terraforming technology. As the presentation concluded, High Commander Vexthor's demeanor had changed dramatically. His tentacles, once writhing with aggression, now moved in slow, thoughtful patterns. "For millennia," he began, his voice somber, "we have defined ourselves by this prophecy. To learn that we have misinterpreted it for so long, it is a difficult truth to accept. And yet, the evidence is undeniable." He turned to President Adama. "You humans have shown us something we had forgotten. The power of questioning, of seeking new truths. Perhaps this is the true fulfillment of the prophecy. Not conquest, but enlightenment." Adama nodded solemnly. "We have both learned valuable lessons, High Commander. Now we have a choice to make. Do we continue down the path of conflict, or do we embrace this opportunity for cooperation and growth?" The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Vexthor. The Jateran leader's eye stalks swiveled, taking in the faces of both humans and his own kind. Finally, he extended a tentacle towards Adama. "Let us write a new prophecy," Vexthor declared, "one of friendship and shared discovery." As Adama grasped the offered tentacle, a cheer erupted from both human and Jateran observers. It was a moment that would be remembered for generations to come, the day when the threat of extinction gave way to the promise of a brighter future. In the days that followed, the process of peace began. The Jateran Worldbreaker, once a weapon of unimaginable destruction, was repurposed as a joint research station. Human and Jateran scientists worked side by side, unlocking the secrets of the universe. Dr. Ilara Chen, hailed as a hero by both species, led the charge in establishing a new era of galactic cooperation. The quantum harmonizer technology was shared freely, ushering in a new age of exploration and discovery. As news of the peace agreement spread across Earth and its colonies, celebrations erupted. The human spirit, tested by the crucible of potential annihilation, emerged stronger than ever. Humanity had not only survived its first contact with an advanced alien civilization, it had thrived, showcasing the very ingenuity and adaptability that made it unique in the cosmos. Yet, as the festivities continued, a select few turned their eyes back to the stars with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. For if one alien civilization had found Earth, surely others would follow. The galaxy, humanity was learning, was a far more complex and populated place than they had ever imagined. The war was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. Resolution and aftermath. 5 years had passed since the day humanity stood on the brink of extinction, only to forge an unprecedented alliance with the Jeteran Imperium. The solar system, once a battlefield, had transformed into a hub of interstellar cooperation and scientific advancement. On the terraformed surface of Mars, now a lush garden world thanks to joint human-Jeteran efforts, President Adama stood beside High Commander Vexthor. They watched as the first graduates of the Galactic Academy of Sciences received their diplomas, a mixed class of humans and Jeterans, their differences forgotten in the pursuit of knowledge. If someone had told me 6 years ago that I'd be standing here, on a green Mars, next to a Jeteran friend, Adama mused, I'd have questioned their sanity. Vexthor's tentacles rippled in what Adama had come to recognize as laughter, and I would have had them executed for heresy against the prophecy. The alien leader admitted, We've come a long way, my friend. As the ceremony concluded, Dr. Ilara Chen approached the two leaders. Time had etched lines on her face, but her eyes still sparkled with the same curiosity that had driven her to unravel the mystery of the Jeteran prophecy. Gentlemen, she greeted them. The harmonizer array is ready for its first test. Shall we make history? Again. The three made their way to a sleek building dominating the Martian skyline. Inside, a joint team of human and Jeteran scientists bustled around a massive device, the culmination of 5 years of collaborative work. Admiral Helena Graves, now the head of the United Solar Forces, joined them at the control center. All ships are in position, she reported. We're ready to create the largest stable wormhole in recorded history. Adama nodded. Proceed, Admiral. With a command from Graves, the harmonizer array hummed to life. Energy crackled across its surface, and a beam of pure quantum energy shot into space. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then suddenly, the stars themselves appeared to bend. A collective gasp filled the control room as a massive wormhole blossomed in space, its swirling vortex a gateway to the unknown. By the prophecy, Vexthor whispered, his eye stalks wide with wonder. Telemetry confirms, a young Jeteran scientist announced excitedly. The wormhole is stable and leads to the Andromeda galaxy. We've done it. Cheers erupted throughout the control room, spreading quickly across Mars, and then to every human and Jeteran world and colony. It was a moment of triumph not just for two species, but for the very concept of cooperation itself. As the celebration continued, Adama found himself drawn to a quiet corner of the room. There, he found Lieutenant Commander Axel Donovan, the pilot who had nearly sacrificed himself during the battle 5 years ago. Quite a change from flying suicide missions, Donovan, Adama said, clapping the younger man on the shoulder. Donovan nodded, his eyes fixed on the wormhole displayed on the screens. Sometimes I'd wonder, Mr. President, what if Dr. Chen hadn't shown up when she did? What if I had deployed that quantum disruptor? Adama considered this for a moment. The universe is full of what-ifs, Commander. What matters is the choice we make in the moment, and the future we build from those choices. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent call from the communications officer. Mr. President, High Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the other side of the wormhole. The room fell silent as a holographic image flickered to life. The being that appeared was unlike anything human or Jeteran eyes had ever seen. A creature of pure energy, its form constantly shifting and flowing. Greetings, children of the Milky Way. The being spoke, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. We are the guardians of Andromeda. Your arrival has long been foretold. Adama and Vexthor exchanged glances. It seemed the Jeterans weren't the only ones with prophecies. "We come in peace," Adama began, but the being interrupted him. "We know why you have come, and the trials you have overcome to reach this point. Your alliance, forged in the crucible of near destruction, is a testament to the potential of life itself. But be warned, you stand now at the threshold of a larger universe, filled with wonders and dangers beyond your imagining." The beam's form pulsed with energy. "You will be tested, more thoroughly than ever before. The choices you make will shape not just your own futures, but the fate of galaxies. Are you prepared for what lies ahead?" Adama looked around the room, at the faces of humans and Jeterans united in purpose. He thought of the journey that had brought them here, the misunderstandings, the battles, the breakthroughs. Finally, he turned back to the Guardian. "We are prepared," he declared, his voice firm. "Whatever challenges await us, we will face them together. Our strength lies not in our individual abilities, but in our capacity to learn, to grow, and to cooperate. We are ready for the next chapter of our cosmic journey." The Guardian's form seemed to smile, though it had no discernible face. "Then let the next phase of your trial begin. We await your arrival." As the transmission ended, a buzz of excitement filled the room. The wormhole to Andromeda represented more than just a technological achievement. It was an invitation to a grander stage, a chance for humanity and the Jeterans to prove themselves on an intergalactic scale. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her eyes shining with the promise of new discoveries. "Well," she said, a grin spreading across her face, "who's up for another adventure?" Vexthor's tentacles curled in amusement. "I believe the human phrase is, I call shotgun." Laughter filled the room, a sound of joy and anticipation that echoed across two galaxies. As preparations began for the first expedition to Andromeda, one thing was clear: the story of humanity and the Jeterans was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The stars beckoned, filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. And thanks to the power of cooperation, understanding, and the indomitable human spirit, they were ready to answer that call. As the first joint human-Jeteran expedition prepared to embark through the wormhole, the words of an ancient Earth philosopher echoed through the minds of those present. "We are not merely visitors on this planet Earth. We are custodians, caretakers, and now, as we reach for the stars, we become shepherds of the cosmic legacy we inherit. Our journey is no longer bound by the confines of our world, but by the limits of our imagination and the strength of our unity." The future, vast and unknown, awaited, and humanity, hand in tentacle with their Jeteran allies, stepped forward to meet it.